By the Montana Television Network. This is the noon news from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Aja Goare. Our top story this half hour: the deaths of 8 people killed in a New York City attack this week, reportedly part of a year-long terror plot. The suspect, an immigrant from Uzbekistan, told prosecutors he even did a practice run about 2 weeks ago. CBS's Meg Oliver reports.
Investigators are examining cell phones and other evidence seized from terror suspect Saifullo Saipov. The Uzbek immigrant told police he was inspired by ISIS when he mowed down pedestrians in lower Manhattan. But they want to know if he had any direct contact with the terrorist organization.
At this point, we don't see anything that leads us to believe there's anyone else involved, but I caution we're a day or two into this.
Saipov came to the U.S. 7 years ago and had been living in New Jersey. An intelligence source tells CBS News Saipov had some contact with individuals in 2015 who were considered radicalized extremists, and at least one of whom was from Uzbekistan. Saipov faces federal terrorism charges and could face the death penalty, a sentence President Trump called for in a tweet last night.
The suspect told prosecutors he chose Halloween because he thought there would be more people here on the streets of lower Manhattan.
The 8 people killed in the attack are now identified. They include 2 Americans, 32-year-old Darren Drake and 23-year-old Nicholas Cleaves, a 31-year-old mother of 2 from Belgium, along with 5 victims from Argentina who were celebrating more than 30 years of friendship. Drake's parents spent hours trying to reach him on Tuesday.
We said, what are the odds of Darren being out in a 30-second period of time that the guy came driving by? But then as the day went on, no Darren.
At least 8 people remain in the hospital with injuries ranging from an amputation to neck and back injuries. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
The New York City Marathon will go on as planned this weekend, but with increased security. Meanwhile, the man suspected of killing 3 people at random inside a Colorado Walmart is now in police custody. 47-year-old Scott Ostrom was arrested this morning after he allegedly opened fire in Denver last night. 2 men and a woman were killed in what is being called a random shooting. A motive has not been determined. Sentencing just concluded for the Sydney man who gunned down a construction worker last year. 36-year-old Ray Hansen pleaded guilty in Richland County District Court to deliberate homicide for the murder of Terry Klein. The Sydney Herald reports the judge accepted prosecutors' recommendation and sentenced Hansen to 100 years at the Montana State Prison. Klein was working on a breached irrigation canal in Sydney when Hansen climbed into Klein's excavator and shot him. Detectives determined the shooting was unprovoked and the victim likely did not see it coming. The Montana Supreme Court says the sentence for one of 2 men convicted of kidnapping and killing a Sydney school teacher in 2012 is constitutional. Wednesday's ruling denies Michael Spell an appeal of his 100-year prison sentence for the murder of Sherry Arnold. Attorneys for Spell argued he was mentally incompetent when he pleaded guilty to deliberate homicide. But the High Court ruled while Spell has intellectual disabilities, he was competent when he pleaded guilty. Arnold disappeared in 2012 while she was on a morning jog in Sydney. Both Spell and Lester Van Waters eventually admitted kidnapping and killing the woman. Spell will be eligible for parole after serving 25 years of his sentence. A civil lawsuit alleging a former Boy Scout leader raped 6 women when they were young girls in Kalispell could come to a conclusion today. Settlement discussions are underway regarding a complaint filed against the Boy Scouts of America in Cascade County District Court. The women say they were all minors in a Scouts program in the 1970s when the abuse occurred. The complaint alleges the Boy Scouts and the organization's Montana Council knew about the risks Bill Leninger posed to the young girls. Leninger, the Scout leader, died in 2002. If no mediation is reached today, the case will go to trial in Cascade County. Each woman could be awarded up to $10 million. A Billings man is behind bars today after he allegedly tried to burn down a house in central Billings. 43-year-old Edward Halverson faces 1 count of arson and 4 counts of criminal endangerment. Investigators say Halverson intentionally set a home on fire Wednesday morning. No injuries were reported, but the fire did cause major damage. Authorities say Halverson entered the home on Terry Avenue around 1:20 a.m. and cut the gas line to the house water heater. Halverson then allegedly ignited the gas. The fire caused about $150,000 in damage. A motive is unclear, and we do not know who owns the home. A voter-approved initiative to expand crime victims' rights now voided by the Montana Supreme Court. Marcy's law was meant to give victims and their families equal rights to those accused and convicted of crimes. But Wednesday's ruling finds the initiative violates the state's constitution. In the 5-2 decision, the court found that Marcy's law made too many changes to be covered by one constitutional initiative. Almost 2/3 of Montana voters supported that measure in the 2016 election. The ACLU of Montana, the Montana Association of Counties, and the Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers all asked for the initiative to be reviewed. We turn now to the weather scene with Ed McIntosh, and today the story is snow.
It certainly is. It's caused a lot of traffic problems, Asia, and we're going to continue to watch that develop over the course of the next few days. Now, our graphic shows in the purple shaded areas where we've had the heavier snow, and that follows right down the Continental Divide into the Bighorn Mountains of northern Wyoming and a lot of the region through south central Montana for the higher elevations. So we're going to take it through time. On our graphic shows, green shows the potential of rain during the day, but watch more snow potential start to develop tonight heading into tomorrow, especially for southwest and northeastern Montana. And by the time we start getting into Saturday afternoon and evening, those areas from Billings to the east and south could also see more snow. We'll break down more of the forecast for you in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Ed. We'll check back in. House Republicans have finally unveiled their long-awaited tax reform bill, which they say will cut taxes and create jobs. The GOP proposal reduces the number of tax brackets from 7 down to 4, but keep the top tax bracket at 39.6% for top earners. The bill also aims to double the standard tax deduction from $12,000 to $24,000. The home mortgage interest deduction would stay in place, and Americans would still be able to deduct their property taxes. President Trump says he wants the bill passed before Thanksgiving. However, the deduction for state and local taxes would go away, and Democrats say the plan is just another way for Republicans to push through tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. The Bullock administration outlining potential solutions to address the state's $227 million budget deficit. The state is facing a budget crisis because of less than expected tax revenue and $75 million in firefighting costs this summer. The governor's budget director, Dan Villa, says a special session of the legislature will likely be called soon. Villa also said state lawmakers and the governor agree on a basic framework to balance the state budget. That's 1/3 spending cuts, 1/3 tax increases, and 1/3 other, like one-time budget transfers or fees. Now, the budget transfers include things like money from the state employees' health fund or a broader fee on property owners whose homes are near fire zones. An agreement on which transfers to adopt is not yet ready. A proposal for a 200-room hotel and convention center in downtown Missoula gets a thumbs up from the Missoula Redevelopment Agency. The $80 million 7-story Hotel Fox now recommended to the City Council. Wednesday's presentation outlined the city's role in funding construction of the conference center. Hotel Fox's management team would operate it. Hotel Fox would include 3 stories of private condominiums and a large underground parking facility. The designs so far include restaurants and shops capped with a great hall, which could handle a sit-down diner for thousands of people. The city would commit tax increment financing from the Riverfront Triangle Urban Renewal District. It's still expected to be 18 to 24 months before the plans are finalized. Still ahead on the noon news, a new Major League Baseball team enters the winner's circle. More on the World Series conclusion next. But first, Ed has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and farm and ranch news from the Northern Egg Network. This is the